The archetype of the cool girl in modern relationship dynamics is built entirely upon a foundation of self-suppression and false emotional security. When a woman adopts this passive persona, she actively suppresses her intrinsic needs, boundaries, and long-term desires to avoid being perceived as demanding or high maintenance by a man. This behavioral strategy involves accepting minimal text communication, unpredictable date invitations, and a complete lack of commitment under the guise of being easygoing. The immediate psychological consequence is a profound misalignment between her internal emotional state and her external presentation, which inevitably breeds deep-seated resentment over time. The masculine perception of this specific posture is rooted in the basic psychological principles of utility and convenience. When a man interacts with a woman who demands zero accountability and places no conditions on her presence, he subconsciously categorizes her as a low-cost source of validation. He experiences an immediate reduction in cognitive load because he is not required to exert strategic effort, plan structured dates, or invest emotional capital to maintain her interest. In his mind, her low-maintenance behavior signals that she values his temporary presence far more than she values her own long-term emotional well-being. This specific dynamic triggers a specific chemical response within the neurological reward system of the partner. In a standard courtship framework, attraction is systematically reinforced through intermittent rewards and the cognitive tension of the chase. When a woman acts as the cool girl, she removes all evolutionary friction from the interaction, providing constant accessibility and predictable warmth without requiring any prior investment from the man. This lack of resistance flattens his dopamine response, causing his initial attraction to plateau rapidly before dropping into a state of chronic apathy and emotional indifference. The physical manifestation of this behavioral trap often mirrors a severe power imbalance that plays out during early casual dates. The woman consciously forces her body language to remain entirely relaxed, forces her tone of voice to remain conversational, and deliberately avoids asking direct questions about intentions. She might laugh off an instance where he arrives 40 minutes late, or completely cancels an appointment at the last second, falsely believing that her tolerance will be rewarded with genuine appreciation. Instead, this physical submissiveness establishes a dangerous baseline of micro-respect violations. Within the framework of behavioral psychology, men generally do not value what they obtain without a significant expenditure of personal resources. By removing the natural filters of exclusivity and respect, the cool girl inadvertently signals that her attention possesses a low market value. The man does not interpret her casual flexibility as a sign of modern maturity or high-level confidence. Rather, he views it as a definitive green light to treat the connection as a low-priority option that can be picked up or discarded based entirely on his personal convenience. This lack of structured boundaries creates a psychological feedback loop that gradually erodes the woman's internal sense of self-worth. As she watches the man invest his best energy, financial resources, and focused attention into other areas of his life while offering her only late-night crumbs, her anxiety rises. To compensate for this growing internal panic, she often doubles down on her casual performance, trying even harder to appear unaffected by his obvious neglect. This creates a painful cycle where her compliance actively trains him to treat her with increasing levels of disrespect. When a man realizes that a woman will tolerate inconsistent behavior without delivering a negative consequence, his motivation to perform evaporates completely. He begins to communicate with a flat, monosyllabic cadence, responds to messages hours or days late, and limits interactions to his personal space. This behavioral pattern demonstrates that he has completely compartmentalized the woman into a specific functional category. She has become an emotional safety net, a predictable space where he can receive validation whenever his ego takes a hit elsewhere in his social circle. The ultimate failure of the cool girl strategy becomes completely undeniable when a third party enters the social environment. A man who has spent months treating a low-maintenance woman with passive indifference will frequently pivot instantly when he encounters a different woman who enforces strict boundaries. He will suddenly display an intense willingness to plan elaborate dates, invest significant resources, and pursue a committed relationship with the woman who demands respect. This sudden shift leaves the casual partner in a state of psychological shock as she confronts the reality of her wasted labor. Breaking free from this behavioral trap requires a complete cessation of the performance and an immediate return to objective observation. When a woman stops pretending to be comfortable with casual arrangements, she forces the interaction into a state of truth. If she calmly declines a last-minute invitation or refuses to participate in low-effort communication, the man is forced to reveal his true capacity for investment. His immediate reaction to this boundary will dictate whether he possesses the emotional maturity to meet a high standard, or if he was simply exploiting a convenient situation. If you are noticing that your attempts to be understanding are consistently met with low effort, it might be time to change your operational framework. The Black Cat Playbook offers a concrete blueprint to help you transition away from these exhausting casual traps. This ebook provides actionable vetting protocols designed to test a partner's capacity for real investment before you compromise your peace. You can access these scripts and strategies right now by clicking the link in the description below. The physical sensation of reclaiming one's autonomy often begins with a deliberate deceleration of responses and a refusal to fill conversational silences. When a woman shifts her focus away from maintaining the man's comfort and redirects that energy toward guarding her own time, a sudden shift in the relationship's gravity occurs. The man immediately senses the loss of his effortless validation source and is forced to make a definitive choice. He must either step up his investment to match her new standard or retreat entirely, which effectively filters him out of her life. From an analytical standpoint, integrating the sharp instincts of the Black Cat mindset demonstrates that human attraction requires a baseline of unpredictability and self-respect to survive. When a woman mirrors this specific level of emotional autonomy, she immediately ceases to function as a convenient option for a man. The partner is forced to adapt to an environment where his low-effort strategies are met with complete emotional neutrality. This behavioral recalibration shifts the locus of control entirely, forcing the male partner to either elevate his behavior or remove himself from the equation. Psychological dependence naturally decreases the moment a woman stops searching for external validation through a man's microactions. When she observes a man's behavior with clinical objectivity, rather than projecting her emotional desires onto his empty promises, the illusion of control disappears. She no longer spends valuable cognitive resources decoding ambiguous text messages or rationalizing obvious delays in communication. This internal shift manifests physically as a calm posture, a steady tone of voice, and an absolute refusal to chase a fleeing connection. The structural flaw of the casual arrangement is that it attempts to secure the benefits of intimacy without paying the required price of commitment. Men who seek these low-maintenance dynamics are often operating from a position of emotional scarcity, looking for maximum reassurance with minimal personal liability. When they encounter a woman who treats her time as a finite, high-value asset, their usual tactics of breadcrumbing fail immediately. They are forced to recognize that access to her presence is heavily conditional upon their willingness to invest genuine effort. Maintaining high-value filters means understanding that a man's initial surge of attention is often a test of availability rather than an indication of long-term compatibility. A woman who sits comfortably in her own autonomy does not rush to reward early praise or intense pursuit with immediate exclusivity. She understands that real consistency can only be measured over extended periods of observation. By maintaining a slow, controlled pace, she forces the partner to demonstrate whether his intentions are rooted in shallow conquest or genuine respect. Adopting the detached clarity of the Black Cat approach ensures that a woman becomes completely immune to the standard cycles of manipulation that define modern dating. Because her self-esteem is completely decoupled from a man's approval, she views his withdrawal of attention not as a personal failure, but as useful behavioral data. If a man attempts to utilize silence as a punishment, he finds that his absence creates no emotional crisis within her life. This lack of an anxious reaction thoroughly destabilizes his ego, rendering his primary psychological tools completely ineffective. Mastering these psychological frameworks is not a temporary tactic, but a permanent upgrade to a woman's entire life structure. When a woman accurately decodes human behavior through clinical reality instead of romantic wishful thinking, she eliminates vulnerability to low-effort dynamics and protects her most finite assets, her time and mental sovereignty. If this deep dive provided you with the necessary clarity to elevate your boundaries today, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.